My name is Jen Miller-Scarnato. I'm a licensed master social worker, or LMSW, and I'm also an expert contributing writer for MSWCareers.com, which I definitely recommend you check out if you haven't already. In this video, I'm going to provide you some tips and recommendations and test-taking strategies for taking the LMSW exam, which allows you to obtain licensure in your state. So I know that this exam is something that causes a lot of concern and stress for prospective and current MSW students and graduates who are preparing to take it. And this video is designed to help you feel confident and like you're on the right track in preparing to take the exam so that you walk in and master it just on your first try. Tip number one is to purchase study guides. Yes, guides, plural. So there are several different study guides out there. Only one official version is produced by the Association of Social Work Boards, or ASWB, but there are also several different options that are published by individuals who are experts in this content area or test preparation companies. So I don't recommend any one specific guide, but I do recommend purchasing more than one. And that's because the content between these two guides, or three guides, or however many you purchase, is going to vary. So while they all aim to be as comprehensive and thorough as possible, you'll notice when you purchase more than one guide that each one offers a little bit different information than the other, and that the way it's presented is a little bit different. And so I definitely recommend getting more than one so that you can compare between the two. Even if you have the two most comprehensive guides possible, they're going to emphasize different subject areas a little bit differently. And so having two guides allows you the benefit of knowing everything that's in both of them and comparing so that you don't miss any important information that might appear on your exam. Tip number two, read the guides cover to cover, following some sort of regimented schedule that you set out for yourself. I know this sounds crazy, but it actually works for me. So the amount of information that's in these guides can be overwhelming, to say the least. But for me, just making sure that I read each one thoroughly, cover to cover, so that I knew that I had at least read once all of the information in each one was really reassuring and helped me to gauge what I needed to study more intensely as I continued to prepare. So I definitely recommend setting up some sort of schedule where you're reading in small bursts of time, think like 15 to 20 minutes. Otherwise, it's so much content that you might start to check out instead of actually absorbing the information. And think of it just as a part of your daily routine, like brushing your teeth or fitting in time to exercise. Your reading time following your schedule leading up to the exam is really important. So what I did is I worked backwards from my exam date, and I gave myself a month before my exam, which is when I wanted to finish, reading cover to cover both of my guides. And then I just made my schedule backwards from there in terms of how many pages I needed to read per day. So I definitely recommend doing that so that you have at least a glimpse of all of the content that might appear on the exam so that no question seems completely unfamiliar. Tip number three. After you've read your study guides cover to cover and you still have like a month or so to continue preparing, this is when you're going to review the tricky concepts and the things that were more difficult to remember. So go back to your study guides, look at the table of contents, and circle any of the topic areas that still seem difficult for you, and those are the ones you're going to now study in more depth. And I recommend doing that type of studying through a variety of means. With flashcards, you can quiz yourself, you could even take short practice tests, like 5 to 10 questions on a specific topic area. But do whatever you need to do to help make sure that you get that information that was a little bit more difficult for you to master. Tip number four, now is the time to take your practice exams after you've actually studied. So the other benefit of having more than one exam guide is that each one contains a complete practice exam, and those are meant to be taken as close as possible to the real thing, which means you will have already studied walking into it. So please, while you might be tempted to take one right away to just kind of gauge what you've learned, I recommend not doing that, because what can subconsciously happen is the questions you see on that practice exam are going to be the areas that you study more closely without even realizing it, and then you might miss really important areas that show up on your actual exam but weren't on your practice exam. So when you do take your two practice exams, wait until after you've done your studying. This is, again, I did mine about 2 weeks before my exam date, and try to take them in an environment as realistic as possible to the actual exam. So time yourself take them all in one sitting if you can. Make sure you're in a quiet place and you're really just focused on taking that exam. And once you've taken one, go back and review all of the answers, not just the ones you got incorrect, but all of them, because there's definitely gonna be some that you got correct but weren't very sure about. So it's helpful to read through not only the answers, but their explanations as to why each one is the most correct or is incorrect. Tip number 5, rest and light review. So at this point, you should have about a week leading up to your exam. And you don't want to stop studying altogether, but you probably want to reduce your stress as much as possible. And given that you've been studying intensely for the last several weeks, your stress levels might be high. So for the last week before the exam, what I recommend doing is just kind of getting sufficient rest, taking care of yourself, and doing a light review of things that maybe are still difficult for you to remember. So you can do that with flashcards, by reviewing those practice exam questions and answers again, by having someone quiz you, or just rereading little sections of your exam guides. And finally, tip number 6, get prepared for exam day the night before. So there's a lot to think about on the day of the exam, and you want to make sure you have everything you need so that you can focus on passing your exam. So the night before, go ahead and pack a bag. Think about things you might want to bring, like a sweater in case you get cold, a snack, a bottle of water, any medication you might need to take within a 4-hour period, because this is a long exam. Definitely make sure you have your photo ID, because you'll need that to get into your testing center and be allowed to take your exam. And also look up any testing center information that you have. So where is it located? Where is parking available if you're driving? What's the specific room that you need to go to? So that you have all of that information ready and it doesn't cause you to be hurried or late the day of your exam. And then once you have all of that ready to go, you can just rest and relax, do whatever self-care looks like for you the day before your exam. Have a nice meal, take a bath, go for a walk, make sure you get the right amount of sleep, whatever is right for you. So that you walk into your exam the next morning feeling like you are ready to pass it on the first try. So those are all my tips. I really hope you find them helpful, and I wish you the best of luck as you prepare for your exam. If you're interested in learning more about preparing for the LMSW exam, check out our other resources on MSWCareers.com.